Hi, welcome to our three-part video series about Easel by TpT. We're highlighting how to find and create Easel activities, how to preview and instruct within Easel, and how to assign and review student work, plus hear the answers to frequently asked questions about Easel activities. In the previous video, we covered assigning and reviewing student work within Easel. If you missed the previous two videos, you can find the full series on TpT's YouTube channel. In this video, I take on frequently asked questions about Easel activities with the help of teacher author Chandra Martin from Teacher Gameroom, Deborah Hayes from HappyEdugator, and Brenda Kovich. Please note that this was originally recorded as a live webinar in March of 2021. All right, let's get started. This is a question about the review flow that you were just talking about, Brenda. And the question is, does Easel work with LMSs like Canvas or Schoology? Brenda?
Well, you can assign it through your LMS. It won't stay in your LMS. Everything will be stored in your My Activities. You can assign it through whatever way you want, but kids need to have a Gmail account, and the assignments, when you're ready to review them, will be on your My Activities page in TpT.
Right. And I think two of the LMSs that I saw most commonly here in the questions were Canvas and Schoology. And the answer is yes, you can assign these through that generate link option that Brenda talked through Canvas or Schoology or any other learning management system. And all you have to do is copy and paste that link for the activity into your LMS and assign it to your students. We are also working on creating more robust integrations with some of these LMSs, so stay tuned for more information about that, and we'll be sure to let you know through email and on the website as well. So there was also a question, is this similar to Kami? And the answer is it is in a way. Kami lets teachers and students use annotations to mark up a PDF and collaborate on lessons digitally. Easel does the same, and it's also free to use for teachers without any trial period. So this is all these tools that we just walked you through are already available to you for free, just for being a user of teacherspayteachers.com. So when you go through that search flow that Chandra walked us through, you'll find these Easel activities, and that is free for you to use. Here's a question that I would throw to any of our panelists or any of our teacher author panelists. How is Easel Activities, because remember, I want to remind you, Easel by TpT is a suite of digital tools. The one that we're talking about tonight is Easel Activities. So how is Easel different from Google Slides? I'd let any of you take that. I know you all have Easel Activities, and some of you also have Google Slides in your store.
I'd be happy to talk about it. So I've used Google Slides in my classroom and in my store, and I prefer Easel Activities because kids can write, draw, annotate, move boxes. It's just more powerful, and with the digital team working on it, it's going to become more and more powerful and flexible.
Anything to add, Deborah or Chandra?
Sure, I can add something. I do have a lot of Google Slides, but Easel Activities is really great. I know one issue that I've had in the past is having students accidentally delete things on Google Slides, and that won't happen with the Easel Activities. It'll still be there if they accidentally delete the box or a shape. So this is a little bit better than Google Slides.
That's a really good call out. So many times, a student might make a piece of clip art go really, really big on Google Slides, and they are locked down on Easel Activities. So that won't happen. They can't be accidentally deleted.
Oh, and also in addition to that, on the same line of thinking, is that sometimes in Google, if the teacher doesn't share it properly with the students, then one student will edit everything everybody else has got. And that can't happen here. And that's the real down part of Google Slides.
That's a good point too around the sharing. So automatically when assigning an Easel activity, through either Google Classroom or through generating a link through any LMS, each student gets a unique copy of that right away. And that's not always the case with Google Slides that you might be accessing on TpT.
Can I just add one more thing? Now with Easel Activities, you can add your own pages like in between and everything too. So unlike Google Slides, you can customize it for your students' specific needs.
It's for things like differentiation within different student groups. Or, I mean, so I've said this, I'm a former classroom teacher, and granted, the things that I was creating for my students were never on par with what Deborah, Chandra, and Brenda can do and are available in their stores, but I was proud of some of the stuff that I created. And so now I would be able to actually upload some of those one-pagers for my students to Easel Activities and then pair it with maybe a resource that I purchased from one of their stores as well. So there were a lot of questions around if Easel is free to use, and I spoke to this a little bit earlier, but I just want to double down on it. Yes, absolutely. Easel is it's a free suite of tools for you to use. We know that some products have a free trial and then the company upcharges you afterwards. That's not the case here. This is free to you. We want to make sure that the resources that you love on TpT are available to you in whatever learning environment you're currently in or will be. So whether that's hybrid, virtual, in person, these resources will be available to you for free.
And free to students.
And free to students, yes. So I had a question here. What is the difference between this and the digital activities? This person says, I don't remember the name, but there was a webinar a few months ago. And Brenda, you and I were on that webinar. And this is a great question. Easel is a suite of tools for teachers. Right now we have Easel Activities. This is what we used to call TpT Digital Activities. But now Easel Activities have a lot more features. They have a new name, it has a new interface, and a whole lot more. And we're going to continue to add more features. So with Easel, we'll also be introducing new digital tools in the platform. So again, Easel is the whole suite. Easel Activities, formerly known as TpT Digital Activities, are a component of that suite of digital tools. So as you saw in this webinar, Easel, I will tell you now, Easel Assessments is going to be the newest Easel tool that will be coming out later this year. So stay tuned for that. I was talking about that with the panelists. Some of them have already been able to see it. It's an exciting tool. So stay tuned. And of course, we'll continue to keep you updated about that. All right, really interesting question. And the question here is there any application for high school? All of you happen to be elementary to middle school teachers. And so I definitely see applications for high school. I also was a middle school teacher, so I'm gonna own that. But I'd love to hear from any of our teacher authors on this question.
Well, I could go ahead and attempt that. I did a little bit of high school work. Some of the activities and things that you are working with, if you're doing like a novel study, this is great. You can go ahead and give them the vocabulary. They can put in the definitions. They can fill out vocabulary activities, the questions, comprehension questions to go with the novel. And what's really something that I didn't bring up in the actual presentation was there is space on each page below the activity to add notes or to put in a larger answer box. So you could have put in a writing prompt, for instance, and then put in a large answer box where they could write almost an essay about something that you were studying. So yes, I think there's a lot of potential for high school.
I just want to jump in and say, I've used it some for graphing, and I could see like maybe putting some coordinate planes just as a background and having kids create graphs. I've done latitude and longitude, all kinds of things. And the thing that's great about it is that kids can draw freehand or use a straight line. But the opportunity to erase is so much easier than on paper and pencil. You know what a big mess they make of their papers sometimes. So I love it for graphing and other math applications as well.
It's a really great. Thank you for giving both an ELA kind of English example for high school and then also math, because I think that the tools are really, they're designed for, you know, to be easily used by K through 12 students. So it definitely can be used with high school. And if you are a high school teacher and you are looking on TpT, you can use our search filters on the left-hand side of the website. You can filter for Easel Activities, filter for 9th through 12th grade, and there are a plethora of resources that are enabled and available to you as Easel Activities. So definitely go search for those. They're out there. And that means that our teacher authors have already seen a good use case for these in their high school classrooms as well. Question here, I think I'm going to take this one. So it says, the question was, does it only work with PDFs? And if you are using a PDF that you've created, can you use Easel without buying something, or do you buy access to Easel? So as of right now, yes, Easel only works with PDF resources that are on teacherspayteachers.com. We are working on a new feature that will allow for other file types, but that is going to come out later this year. And yes, you absolutely can use Easel without buying anything from tpt.com, though I encourage you to, especially from these 3 folk stores. You can use a PDF you already own. So that's what I was talking about earlier, where I, as a classroom teacher, I got some stuff I'm proud of. I'm not selling it on TpT, but I'm like, all right, this is pretty good. I can upload that to TpT and assign it to my students digitally through Easel. Question here. Deborah, I think it kind of comes from your section. Feel free to answer. Can you add text as a layer and lock it on the shapes so that you can move the shape and its label at the same time?
Yes, if you look at the movable shapes, if you type, I didn't make a GIF for that. I probably should have. But back in the presentation, if you put the text on a shape that is already movable, it will lock in and move with the shape. I think that'll answer the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of those new features that's available with Easel Activities and wasn't available in the former version of it. And this was something that was, you know, requested from both teacher authors and buyers. So you can now create a shape, put text on that, and students can move that all around. And I think the possibilities there are kind of endless across grade and content levels of like identifying places on a map, word sorts, dragging the right letter to complete a word for spelling.
Labeling a cell in science.
Labeling. Thank you. Yes. I always lean towards ELA because that was my focus area in the classroom. But yes, absolutely. Labeling a cell in science. That's great. Chandra, I saw you smiling. Did you want to jump in there? Did you have any thoughts?
Oh yes, about the moving the letters. Actually, the resource that I made that's a freebie is the CVC practice, and you actually the students will take the letters and actually move them to build the words. So yeah, that's a great example of movable letters, movable words.
Awesome. So there you go. It's a freebie. Even if you're, so I'm just going to say, even if you're a high school teacher and your students aren't needing those CVC words, you can at least see that functionality in Chandra's resource. So here's another question. When assigning as material, Brenda, this is going to be, I think, for you. When assigning as material, each student is going to get their own copy, ?
Right. That's right.
Can you explain that?
When assigning as material, each student would get their own copy.
Right. And the reason for that is because you assign it as a material in Google Classroom, but that material has that link that the students are going to click on that brings them back to Easel Activities, and that is their own unique copy. And then you can also give like that individual level of feedback that Brenda was talking about as well when she showed the 5 different students, one of whom was Chandra, I believe, who completed that activity. All right, here's an important question, and I think it's, is there an alternative to using Google email accounts? So lots of folks, their students do not have Gmail, so then you can't use Easel. And I will take this question. Unfortunately, yes, at the moment, students will need a Google email account to get access to the activity after you assign it to them. The good news, let's jump to the good news. We are working on a way for students to use any email credential, and that should be coming out soon. So we will keep you posted. Stay tuned to your weekly newsletters, stay tuned to the website, and more opportunities like this for educational opportunities about Easel and Easel activities. We are working on a way for students to use email credentials beyond just Gmail. So what is the turnaround time for when a student submits an assignment until I, as the teacher, am notified that the assignment is turned in? I have this answer, but I just spoke a lot. So does anybody else want to jump in?
Go ahead.
All right, it's 24 hours. So within 24 hours, you'll receive an email notification, or if you're in the app, it shows in real time as a student submits. So when I say the app, I mean if you're already in Easel Activities. So when Brenda was showing us the image of her student submissions, if a 6th student submitted that while she was looking at that page, she would actually see that come in real time. The email notification, though, has a 24-hour delay. And you can also, if like you're like, hey, I have too many emails and I do not need a reminder when my students submit that work, I'm on top of that, I have my own processes, you can always unsubscribe from that email as well. So question here, will Easel be adding a record feature to it where students can record their responses like the Kami app? And this is what I'm gonna have to answer, I think. So the answer is yes, we're really excited to say that we are working on a way for teachers to record audio, and likely students too. We're in the process of figuring that out. As we develop products at TpT, we work really closely with all of our users. So that means teacher authors like Deborah, Chandra, and Brenda, and that means users like you who come to TpT to find the resources you need for your students. That feature is definitely something that's been requested, and so we're looking into how we can build that out for you. All right, so this is a question around, this is a nitty-gritty one kind of about the assign flow. So Brenda, I might throw it to you. If I create multiple codes, one for each of the different classes I teach, can I name the codes classes so that it is easy for me to identify that class that I'm opening up?
I don't know, Will, I didn't see an option for that yet.
Yeah, it's a good question. And at the moment, the answer is no. But we have heard this feedback. And so this is something that we're gonna be working on. So it's another stay tuned. And someone also just said that they answered their own question, but it's a question I think is worth answering. So can you print these things? Can you print these Easel activities? Or would educators on TpT still have the ability to print? Anybody want to answer?
You can print the PDF.
Exactly. Precisely. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it feel like a quiz show. 10 points to Brenda.
No, but I also wondered if print student work, and I don't think that that's available.
Yes. No. So that is not available. You can't print the version that the student has completed on the Easel activity. But all of these resources are made for that hybrid learning environment. So many of you might be in a classroom where you're teaching some students remotely, you're teaching some students in person, and you need to literally go to the copier and make copies and then assign it to other students on a device. So you always have access to the PDF version of the resource, those resources you know and love from TpT, the printables, and you have the Easel activity version as well. And I see a question here about if you can return work back to students. And the answer is yes. Brenda walked us through that. Brenda, do you want to speak to it anymore or double click into it at all?
I just, like as a teacher, the only thing that you won't know is, I mean, the student will not be informed that it's been returned to them. So, I mean, even as a virtual teacher, kids can ask questions during class and they might say, just tell them, yes, check where check the link and see if your assignment's back there. Or tell them I've returned it and now it's time to check.
Awesome. All right. So I feel like thinking of the questions, that was the majority of the questions. I want to encourage you all to check out this the helpful links document that is at the bottom of this slide right here that says questions. That is where you're going to find that very helpful tutorial that we just walked you through. It's where you're going to find the freebies to Deborah, Chandra, and or the freebies available in Deborah, Chandra, and Brenda's stores, so you can see what is really possible with Easel Activities. And you also can access our Getting Started guide, which is a really self-directed walkthrough of how to actually do each of these things step by step. Thanks so much for watching. This was the final video in our series about Easel Activities. Now you're ready to find and create Easel Activities to support your students' learning. So go give it a try. You can always find this full video series about Easel by TpT on TpT's YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos.